How's it going, guys and girls? Hope you guys are having a great week. So I'm back today with another What Do We Know So Far video. Now this one is going to be on the new Hitman game. Now I am a massive fan of the Hitman series. I actually think the first Hitman game I ever played was Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. I wasn't overly impressed with Absolution, but I am very excited about the new Hitman games. This is everything that we know so far about it. Now for those of you that don't know Hitman, this game is going to be the 6th entry in the Hitman series. It's from developer IO Interactive, obviously published by Square Enix, and it is going to be released on the 11th of March this year on the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4 and the PC. So it is coming out very, very soon. Now, the basic story of Hitman, basically Hitman revolves around the main character, a guy called Agent 47, and he's basically a hired assassin who carries out sort of contracts. Now there is a lot of contradictory information in terms of the story and whether or not this is a direct sequel to Absolution, where it is actually set in it. Now I have scoured the internet to have a look on it. Wikipedia obviously says that it's going to be a direct follow-on for Absolution, but I really don't believe a word that Wikipedia says, because obviously that's updated by, your average Joe, you and me. The best information I found is by Kotaku, and they're actually saying in an article that was published on the 10th of February that the game is actually going to be set prior to Absolution, because in Absolution, Agent 47 was pretty much on the run from the international contract company, but the actual new Hitman game, it's going to be set prior to that, and it actually takes place earlier in Agent 47's career. So, he really is an assassin at his prime, with full access to, everything that he needs. The contracts he's taking as well. These are big, high-profile contracts, high-profile targets in their own sort of domain that you're kind of, going into. Now, the gameplay. Now, let's talk about the main thing we're all interested in. So that's pretty much what we know about the story. Not much, to be honest, which is fine with me, because I really don't like to be spoiled for any games, movies, videos, you name it. So I like to keep a little bit of mystery. Now, the main thing I am obviously interested in is the gameplay. Now, the gameplay for Hitman looks great. There has recently been a beta that came out last weekend for those that pre-ordered the game. I think it was out on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I think. I actually didn't get to play it, but I have watched a lot of gameplay footage from it, and I have to say it does look really sweet. So let me tell you a little bit about some of the things that we know about the gameplay. Now, this game is very different to Absolution. It is much more focused on kind of a sandbox element to the game. It's not going to be as linear nor as story driven as Absolution was. That was a very, very linear gameplay experience, and the new Hitman is not going to be anything like that. That's what we've been told anyway. Now, we have been told by IO Interactive that it is much bigger than the previous installment. Actually, they've said it's going to be 6 to 7 times larger than the biggest levels in Absolution, which is pretty frigging massive. And that is what they're going with, size, scope, choice, creativity. There is a bigger emphasis on freedom. And there's a number of new gameplay mechanics and things involved in that. So basically what you're going to have is you're going to have certain key assassination missions where you're going to be going to this massive sandbox area full of NPCs, your target, and lots of choice and freedom and in terms of how you want to carry out that mission and how you actually want to assassinate that target. Now, to help you as part of that, there are some game mechanics that have been revealed. So there is something called opportunities. So as you're basically progressing through the level, gaining more intel, more information, which you can get through a number of ways. You can eavesdrop on non-playable characters, on NPCs, to garner information from that. I'm sure there'll be things like documents and evidence and things that you can find as well. Tailing people. I don't know whether there's going to be an interrogation side to it. I don't think there is, but it'd be kind of cool if there was. But basically, in the new opportunities, when there is a new opportunity that does become available, this is actually going to be highlighted for you, and you can actually track that opportunity and choose to follow it through if you want. Now, you do have complete freedom in terms of the choices and the opportunities that you want to go, but the key thing here that makes me excited and kind of makes Anybody that plays Hitman basically comes across looking, like a serial killer. But there are so many choices for, the kinds of kills that you might want to do, ranging from, supposed accidental deaths. We saw in some gameplay footage where you actually had to assassinate this target that was going to try a new sort of fighter jet. And you could actually disguise yourself as an engineer and sabotage the ejector seat so that when he went into it, the ejector seat obviously went off and he got killed, but it was made to look like an accident. So there are going to be lots of unique, fun, no doubt probably funny assassinations that you can do. Obviously poison is back in it too. You can use guns, wire, explosives. There's a massive choice in the actual game, which sounds really exciting. Now disguises are back as well. Agent 47 will be able to subdue or kill NPCs in the world, particularly guards or chefs or backstage security or engineers, mechanics, whatever it might be. But you can basically subdue them, steal their clothing, hide the body, which is always recommended, and then obviously that will give you access to areas in the level and will allow you to walk around more freely. Now disguises in this new version, however, are not a free pass to go anywhere in the world. Basically there is a tiered system. So for example, if you were to take the clothing of an engineer or a chef or a cook, you are going to be very limited in terms of what areas you can actually go into, whereas if you were to take, say, security guard disguise, you're going to have a lot more access to places as well when you're in the world as well. If, say, for example, you're a security guard, other chefs in that area might not recognize you and obviously will not call you out on your disguise. But if you were to come across a fellow security officer or a fellow chef, then they might actually recognize you. And there are certain characters in the level called enforcers that will be able to recognize that you are an imposter. So obviously you'll want to try and avoid those. But I like that. I like the whole idea of tiered clothing, and obviously the opportunities that you have available to you as well depend on which disguise you're going with. So if you are a chef or a waiter or a bartender, you're going to have easier access to poison somebody's food or drink, or if you're an engineer, you're going to be able to sabotage something to cause an accidental death, those kinds of things. So I like that whole choice and creativity, and I like what they're doing there with the disguises. Now, as I say, the world is going to be absolutely massive. The key thing that they've talked about as well is just how dense each level is in terms of the NPCs in that world. I think they showed one level which was the Paris mission, and there were 400 plus NPCs just in that level alone. But all these NPCs, they're not just window dressing, they are actually all interactive. And IO Interactive have said that they want the worlds to be like a living, breathing world, so that the NPCs are actually there, can be used to gain information on the target, but they also react to Agent 47 as well. So if he does something very suspicious, they'll react to that, and obviously that could give away your location. Similarly, they'll comment on things that he does, they'll comment on the clothing that he's wearing, and they'll react to him. So that sounds really, really cool. Now, Instinct mode is back. However, it is much more significantly simplified. Instinct mode in Absolution was just absolutely OP. You could see everything. You could see your targets, everybody in the area through walls. You could actually see their path, their patrol route, and it just made the levels very easy, and it made Agent 47 a little bit overpowered, a little bit inhuman. But actually, Instinct is back. It's going to allow you to see your target, but it is much more simplified. It is limited. So, whether or not you choose to use it, that's up to you. But even if you do, it's not going to give you a massive, massive, massive advantage, which it obviously did do in Absolution. Now, beginning before each mission as well, you can also choose your loadout before each mission. So what gadgets, what weapons you want to take into the mission with you. You also have the ability to stash weapons as well. So they showed one where you could actually hide your gun in a food crate, and then the waiters or the cook would actually deliver them upstairs into the main lobby, so you could actually get into the property, you know, weapon free. But then once you got inside, you could grab this gun from a stash, you know, from a hidden crate, and then obviously have that in as an option in the level. Now there is also going to be a massive sort of online focus and community as well. Each mission that you complete, obviously it is going to be rated in terms of your performance. You know, they're going to look at things like time taken, the number of innocent people killed, number of witnesses to the area, whether or not you got captured in CCTV, and all these things can be seen by friends and can actually be used as challenges, so your friends can actually see how you completed a level or how you actually killed your target, and that would be really cool because you might go, oh my god, that's cool, I wonder how they did that, and you'll try and recreate it yourself. Some of the missions as well also have a time limit. There are going to be, obviously there is going to be the main target, but there are actually going to be sub targets that will pop up in a level as well, and you'll have a limited time to be able to take them out before they'll completely disappear. Contracts are back in the new Hitman game, so if any of you know anything about contracts, it's a really nice feature, and it basically allows you to create scenarios and targets and to share these with other players in the world. It's effectively a challenge which you put out to other gamers to complete that challenge, that level, and obviously, you know, that they'll challenge you back. So contracts is really fun, and I'm very happy that it is going to be back here. Now, in terms of how they're going to release Hitman, this is probably the most controversial part of the game that we have heard about. And it is the fact that there is going to be an episodic nature to the release of Hitman. So there is actually going to be 2 ways that you can pre-order or purchase the game when it is released on the 11th of March. You can buy what's called an intro pack. Now this will basically give you access to the prologue mission and one location, and that will be Paris. And the cost of that will be, if you're in America, it will be $15. If you're in the UK, it'll be $11.99. Now, subsequently, in the months following that, every month there will be an update. There will be a release, you know, a new pack, a second pack, basically, with different locations. There's going to be locations and missions in Italy. That's going to be in April. In May, there's going to be, you know, missions in Morocco that are going to be released as well. There's also going to be monthly content that will be delivered, and updates. More updates will come, obviously, in the subsequent months, including 3 additional packs which cover locations including Thailand, the US and Japan, which will be the last pack coming out later at the end of 2016. There is also going to be weekly live events as well. So the idea is that the content will be released steadily over time. Now, this is a massive decision for them to make, rather than just releasing it as a completely finished product. And you know, the head of the studio IO Interactive, a guy called Hans Seifert, when asked about it, he has kind of tried to justify it, and he sort of said that, and I'm quoting kind of directly here, that they decided to take the full leap and publish Hitman as a truly episodic game experience. Now, he has said that part of that decision is for that little bit of extra time to ensure that every location they release is at the quality level fitting for a Hitman game, but the main driving reason is that it will allow them to create a living game that will expand and evolve over time and establish a foundation for the future. And this is the first game in a storyline which will continue and expand with future Hitman games. So it sounds a little bit like a reinvention, basically. Now, I don't know how I feel about that episodic nature of it. Now, obviously, if there is going to be kind of a season pass, so you can buy a full version of the game digitally in America at $60 and in the UK at $45.99, and that will basically give you full access to the full year's worth of content. So it's pretty much like a season pass. You're going to be buying it. You're not going to have access to it initially at the beginning, but obviously you'll be able to download the subsequent packs without having to, you know, pay any money for it, because you would have sort of paid up front. Now, if you're like me and you really don't like that idea, because I'm getting kind of fed up of games being released in an unfinished state and then being asked to pay £40, £45, whatever it may be, for a season pass for content that is going to become later, that no doubt was created at the beginning of the game. I'm not a big fan of that. In fact, it makes me quite angry, as you can probably tell from the tone of my voice. So I'm probably going to buy the initial intro pack at $11.99 to check the game out, to see what I think of it, to see how much content is in that first pack. And then I'll sort of decide from there whether or not I might buy subsequent packs. Now, if you're like me and you're going to wait, subsequent packs are priced reasonably. They're going to basically be additional location content is going to cost about $10 a pop, or I think in the UK it's probably going to be $7.99 or $8.99, something along those lines. So that is the only way that you'll be able to buy the game at release, on only digitally. So for those of you that are not a big fan of digital downloads, you're going to be pretty pissed off by this news, I think. I'm like many people, I prefer to buy a disc version of the game. I'm just traditional like that. I like that. So I'm not massively happy about the fact that I have to buy it digitally. Not a big fan of that. But for those of you that aren't bothered about getting it initially released and are willing to wait, IO Interactive have said that there is going to be a disc version of the game, which will ship at the end of 2016. So some of you, it's up to you, but you might want to wait until the holiday season and maybe get it then for Christmas. But that basically is everything that we know so far about Hitman. The gameplay looks good, I will admit. I like the idea that it's going back to a sandbox style gameplay. I like the sheer choice and variety involved in it, and I'm always a big fan of stealth games, and I've always enjoyed the Hitman games because of the creativity involved in the assassinations and just the sheer amount of things that you can do in the game. So yeah, I'm super interested in that, but I am a little put off by the fact that they are releasing it in an episodic nature, and I'm not overly happy about the fact that they're doing that. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Obviously it's down to you guys to decide what you want to do, but that is basically everything that we know so far about Hitman. Let me know what you think of this game in the comment section below. Are you going to buy the game when it is released? What do you guys think of the episodic nature? What do you guys think of the gameplay in the background here, which you can see? Let me know in the comment section below. Hope you guys found this video interesting and informative. Alright guys and girls, well, take care, and as always, happy gaming.